welcome back. I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Boston Motorsports in Brighton, Massachusetts, we're driving a 2022 Maserati Ghibli Modena. And the reason we're driving this Ghibli is because in the current market, there are no discounts. Except there are, because you can get a brand new Maserati for like $25,000 off MSRP. You haven't heard the word discount in a long time because ADM is the name of the game. You want a RAV4, 8 grand over. You want a Civic Type R, 20 grand over. You want anything new, you are paying above MSRP, and that is a foreign concept to most people who have bought new cars in the past. You're supposed to be able to negotiate, you're supposed to be able to haggle. Well, now Maserati starts to look a little more appealing for those who are looking at the competition, who maybe can't get into the Mercedes or the BMW or whatever they're hunting for under MSRP and cannot stomach the dealer markups. So what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to drive this Ghibli and see if taking 20 to 25 grand off the price starts to make it look reasonable, because this MSRP on this particular car is $113,000, and that does feel high, but taking 25 grand off does start to put it into a more competitive position. So what do we have here today? Well, this is a Q4. It's all-wheel drive. It has a 3-liter V6 with 2 turbos, making 424 horsepower, mated to an 8-speed ZF gearbox. It has paddle shifters mounted to the column, very sporty, very Italian, and it has a limited slip differential in the rear, making it a bit slidey. So this will do all the daily duties. It will get you up the mountain road in the snow on appropriate tires, and it does have a bit of style. Gluing you to the road is a currently dirty and filthy 245 section front tire on a 20-inch wheel and a 285 in the rear. You can see some big BV6 piston calipers up front to get the stopping duties done. And inside, we open the door to find a frameless dual pane window. This is going to help with noise insulation. We like that. Actually, pretty beautiful door cards with the stitched leather and the Bowers and Wilkins sound system. So you're getting premium audio for that money, which is nice. And then these seats are absolutely stylish with the embroidered Maserati logo and the clever trim with the leather. So that does look pretty good. It looks the part. The dashboard is all leather. Of course, you can option these out in a million different ways, and they do allow you to personalize these. In the rear, same appointment with these seats. Really nice stuff, although with the seat all the way back like that, not a ton of legroom, but you do have HVAC system back here. The rear passengers have a sunshade as well as heated seats, so they have nice toasty buns riding in the back of their Italian sedan. Up front, it's pretty much business as usual, and not much has changed in the Maserati world in terms of these functional things, but it's nice to have buttons and analog controls for the most part when it comes to the HVAC system, although there is a lot that goes on that touchscreen. We'll get into that when we start driving. Around back, we've got our quad exhaust, which sounds actually pretty raspy. Let's get this thing started up and listen to this from the rear, because I do think that this V6 does sound pretty good. Go ahead, pop it into sport mode. Makes that a little livelier. That's pretty aggressive, actually. I really do like the sound of this thing. Oh yeah. All right, and then let's take a peek under the hood. And there she is, our 3-liter twin-turbo V6, making lovely noises. Set back reasonably far in this car. I guess when you look at Audis, you can start to appreciate when a block is set that far back behind the front axle. Pretty good-looking stuff, very Italian with the Maserati across. We like that. So let's go out, take it for a ride. It's 39 degrees outside right now. It's a bit brisk, but I have a heated steering wheel. I've got heated seats. I have the things that I need to keep me warm and feel like I am in a premium cabin. In the summer, I do have ventilated front seats as well. To put it in drive, use this, and away we go. So down here, this is where all your little controls are. So you have adjustments for sport mode, sport suspension. You also have your auto start stop to save fuel at a red light, and your traction control off if you want to get a little slidey in the wet winter weather. It's funny, we're always playing this weird game of I want new stuff, but I don't want to forget the past, and having analog gauges feels really good in this Ghibli. Let's see how she gets off the line. Doing a little bit of thinking down low to make sure that it doesn't just spin and spin and spin in this cold weather. But after that, 424 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot, but it actually goes pretty far and it winds out nicely. I think this is like an adequate and just a little extra power more than you need, but it's not outrageous. It's not going to slap you in the face with it. You could lend this car to your kids and not feel like they're going to get themselves into too much trouble. Upshifts, though, are pretty raucous. I do like a good aggressive upshift, and this does provide that sort of emotional connection to the car, which I really like. That all-wheel drive system does a pretty good job of making sure that there is always traction, especially out of the hole. The steering is light, it's luxurious, but it's also present. I feel what's going on for the most part. There are other brands, BMW, which have kind of lost the plot on steering. Steering feel used to be a really great feature in those cars. Not so much anymore. So having this car still have reasonable weight damping and feel is kind of a godsend. This powertrain does a lot of work down in that mid-range, which is lovely. But it also climbs to redline nicely. Something that I like about this car, besides the sound, is that it's unapologetically a sports sedan. It does have some different suspension modes, but even in the softest mode, it's not, it doesn't feel like a luxury suspension. It still feels like it wants to be a sports car, which I think is what it's supposed to be. Everything's very Jekyll and Hyde these days, where you have to expect like a Rolls-Royce level of comfort and ride quality from a sports car, and then you hit a button and it transforms into your thing. But this car definitely is a sports car, or it wants to be a sports sedan before anything else. The ZF8, very smooth. We've come to really love and appreciate this transmission in an abundance of vehicles. It suits this one just perfectly. Let's see, we get a little spray here. And in top gear, 70 miles an hour. There it is, now it's top gear. It's like 1500 RPM. Pretty low revs, not very taxing on this powertrain. Love that green. That's my favorite green on Dodge products. I fully understand that you can get a discounted Maserati because people aren't clamoring to get their hands on them. But I also think that it's a little unfair to completely overlook the brand when oftentimes consumers are hunting for specific luxury items. So they want the Alcantara headliner, they want the leather seats, they want the functionality of a heated steering wheel, heated seat, ventilated seat. a clock. You know, it's those little things that add up, that's what they want. And some people see that as, well, I wanted to have a Mercedes badge on it. And I get it. But I also have a hard time as a consumer looking at a BMW or Mercedes and Audi and saying, I'm going to pay over MSRP. And I think Maserati has like a little bit of an opportunity here in these days where they can come in and discount to consumers and get some cars out there. And the beauty of these cars, it's not that they're the highest quality, best things in the world. Obviously, I'm not crazy. I mean, yes, it's still an FCA product. We get that. But from a powertrain perspective, this engine is very cool. It sounds good. It's responsive. It's enjoyable to drive. It also has an all-wheel drive system that sends most of the power to the rear. So you're getting a rear-wheel drive biased all-wheel drive system with a limited slip differential. Like, what more do you want? The other thing is, we're still in a place where a lot of people are complaining about where the auto industry is going. They're all becoming hybrids. They're all electric. They're numb. There's too much screens and this and that. Well, this car really leans on the older side of the spectrum with analog gauges. The driving experience and feels a lot more what you would have been used to in the past, rather than some numb thing that you're trying to adjust to just because they tell you this is the future. So those are the things that I do think Maserati has going for it. Kind of love to see somebody put some really sticky tires on one of these and bring it out to a track day just to see, like, what are the limits of this limited slip differential? How sideways can you get this car? I do think this chassis is lovely to drive. It's fairly rigid. It's just, this car just behaves exactly the way you'd expect a vehicle to behave. There's no surprises. And I think to a driver, that is a welcome change from some of the craziness that's been coming out in new vehicles today. So I think that's going to do it for the Ghibli today. Thanks to Boston Motorsports for tossing the keys, and thanks for letting me know that they are charging well under MSRP. So if you're looking for a discount on a car, they do exist. You just have to look in slightly different places than you usually were looking. Thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive. Holy crap, this is a lot of traffic. It's not going to be a very pleasant drive back. And I will see you in the next one.